Benissimo, grazie.
Very good. Thank you very much to Daniela. This was extremely interesting. With the next two panelists, we'll have a lot of figures, a lot of technical presentations. Erika Andreetta, PwC partner, Italy, EMEA, fashion and luxury leader.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here.
Non è stato facile, devo dire.
Also this year, it wasn't easy to prepare this presentation because the title is quite complex, the new normal challenge. In the next 15 minutes, I'll try and provide some indicators according to three macro areas and their connection to some recent research carried out by PwC regarding what's going on in the next months. So we're trying to connect the macro indicators with the forecast of purchases for the next Black Friday, the next holiday season, Christmas, and the Chinese Golden Week. So we'll try to take a look at these perspectives based on fresh PwC data. Let's start straight away with our analysis of a slowing down in the world industry. The data come from the Confindustria report of 28th October, so this is very fresh data. Europe, except the UK, sees a shift in consumption from commodities to services, and this is the very important piece of data. Europe is quite stable. Interest rates are still very high, and they will remain high for most of 2024. And especially as for the commodity markets, trade is concerned, there is a weakening trend going on. In the USA, you can see a surprising 4.9% increase in Q3, and we should not forget that this was a difficult. It's going to be a difficult year for the United States with elections. We will have an increase in wages, an increase in inflation, and the savings, which are destined to consumption, will be weaker than in the previous year. And then, as for China is concerned, we're talking about a lethargic China. It has grown so much after the pandemics. It is a macro area where there is a lot of potential, and we'll see where and how. But right now, Chinese households are undergoing an increase in rent prices, and we're talking about the real estate market, which has shrunk the savings which are destined to consumption. Things change if we take into consideration the super-rich Chinese consumers. As for the fresh data regarding luxury brands, we can see that the indicators are quite positive. Of course, this all depends on the product segments and the exposure on the markets. But as this slide shows, we can see that there was a rebound in 2021 with an increase of 32% over 2020. And then we can see an average of an average increase of 20% in 2023 over 2022. So we can see that there was a strong rebounding. This is a very positive data. This segment, the luxury segment, is continuing to grow. And what are our expectations for the future? All the merchandise which is available on the markets, is it destined to restocking? And how can we tackle this tendency to consumption, this tendency to anticipate purchases for Christmas? There are people who are on the lookout for good opportunities and business, especially in the fashion and the beauty sector, since September, since mid-September. So we're expecting an increase in shopping, an increase in exposure for brands. This is very important, and we hope that we can provide all the stocks that we've been circulating in the last months. And now let's focus on Black Friday in Europe. We have the data from Germany, France, Poland, Italy and Spain. And there is a consumer sentiment piece of research on the UK, which we've published last week. Only one piece of data on the UK market. There is a tendency to consumption which is very low, and we carried out the research in September. There was a net decrease over June, and especially the consumers under 25 years of age have told us that they're not going to spend on luxury, but they're not going to spend on grocery and food, which are usually have countering trends, will have negative consumption. And let's take a look at other countries now. We carried out this piece of research between the 10th and the 17th of October, and we collected the data during this week. And we found out that good business, a good bargain is considered made when there is a discount of 30–40%. And 1/4 of our sample in all the countries would like to save some money by anticipating their Christmas purchases. What are the 3 top categories for the holiday season? Last year it was toys. This year it's going to be beauty products. There is a decrease to 35% of technology products, and there is a stability in the apparel and the shoes sector. We have fragmented the categories into jewelry, beauty products, and we've been very specific to this regard. As for apparel and shoes are concerned, consumers would like to buy apparel and shoes, but they also want discounts. And the technology sector has decreased, and the toy sector has decreased too, but this has been compensated by an increase in the beauty segment. This means that we now tend to privilege our satisfaction over the satisfaction of our family. Now, let's take a look at the US market. Here, consumers tend to hold their purchases, and they do not spend much between the Thanksgiving and Black Friday. So you can see that there is a change in trends according to whether there is a discount or not. The gray part here is the share of consumers who are expecting to save some money. So this means that 90% of American consumers tend to spend their money between Thanksgiving and Black Friday only if there is a discount. And this is a very important message for you, for the strategies that you are going to use to approach this market. Some other interesting aspects of the US market is that there is a specific type of consumer. Americans have started to travel again. They are important travelers, and they tend to purchase a lot even when they're outside the United States. And what we're expecting for this market is a rebalancing of their portfolio, which means spending more on traveling and less in physical commodities. There are some differences between the Gen Z and the millennial generation. And we're talking about people who are around the 40s, so they have much more money to spend than in the past. For this category, consumers in this category have told us that they're going to spend more than last year. And last year, as we've seen, there was a sharp increase in consumption in this period. This was the answer given by the millennial respondents. The Gen Z tend to be more loyal to their brands. They spend more, they use their credit cards, and they're loyal to their brands. This is a positive message. Now, a focus on women consumers, especially for our friends for Amazon. 70% of American women are registered to Amazon Prime, and I would like to talk about the total expenditure for Christmas. American women tend to spend 11% more for Christmas than past year, and they're ready to shift loyalties if they can find a better bargain. And they spend in gifts, traveling and entertaining. American women tend to spend more on gifts than other genders. As for traveling is concerned, we can see an increase in expenditure during traveling, and this is a very important piece of data because American tourists tend to spend when they visit Italy. They're here for shopping too, and you can see from this IATA data that at the domestic level, data have a higher percentage than in the last years. This is a very important piece of data as for exposure of your products on different channels is concerned. Now, let's take a look at China, the Singles Day. Do you remember? There were hundreds of international brands. You can see this data, $13.7 million here. We're talking about an event whose related expenditures have been six-fold higher than the previous year. And you can see that this is a very important piece of data because we've asked our respondents whether they knew the event and whether they tended to spend for Singles Day. So we've seen that European respondents who know Black Friday and spend on Black Friday tend to know and spend over the Singles Day. As for the Chinese New Year, we've seen that Chinese tourists are coming back with a focus on saving. As for international tourism, we've seen that there is a figure of 11.8 million, but figures have not increased over 2019, so there is a potential to be developed here. There is a countering trend in the Chinese economy, and we've seen that we are at a turning point in the Chinese economy. And we've seen that the GDP is continuing to grow, although I have defined it as a lethargic economy. However, this is an economy which is on the increase. We've got an employment rate which is growing, so we can see the light at the end of the tunnel here. And you can see that there is a concern by Chinese consumers regarding the increase of inflation and the increase of prices. If rental prices have gone up, they have less money to spend on commodities and services and traveling. Here, you can see on the right the black column, which is the words super rich. In the fuchsia, you can see the Chinese super rich. And you can see that there has been an increase from 5 million in 2017 to 20 in 2027. This is the forecast, and we're talking about people who can spend $1 million per year. So this is a very important category. What is the take-home lesson here? There's been a slowing down in the luxury segment after years of a skyrocketing growth. In the last 2 years, there was a skyrocketing growth. So let's hope there's going to be some destocking in the next holidays. And there will be presidential elections in 2024 in the United States, which is something which tends to slow down consumption a little bit. And we can see that Europe is stable, that China is growing. And we've seen that there is a big difference according to age bands, but they all consumers tend to look for discounts and bargaining in before Christmas, before the holiday season. And you can see that Gen Z is especially important as for generations of consumers are concerned, because Gen Z consumers tend to influence a lot of consumers, including their grandparents. And then there is a growth in tourism. This is usually a leverage for an increase in consumption. We've seen that international traveling has grown. Even Chinese tourists are coming back. There is a concern of Chinese consumers because expenditure has grown, but there is also a growth in the Chinese super rich, which is our target. And so enjoy your day and enjoy your shopping.